Hi. I'd also like to thank everyone who was here, who presented, and who listened all weekend. I was thoroughly impressed the entire time. I found it all completely fascinating, and I was honored to be here. I'll try to organize my thoughts as I'm speaking them, because my notes are fairly disorganized. But I came here this weekend, and I had had both a school experience with severe bullying and a school experience with hardly any bullying at all. And through your guys' research that you presented to me, I think I was really able to understand what made the difference between my two schools. And I think the most prevalent, the most convincing to me was this idea of the environment affects where you are. And I heard that from Dr. Hovanen, Dr. Wright, Dr. Dodge, Tom Dishin, Dr. Bradshaw. Everyone kind of was floating around this idea, and I'd just like to present my kind of compilation of it. That if you bring together an environment full of people that are diverse, that have empathy for one another, that accept one another, bullying just won't be a problem. And I can't stress the importance of that. I went to a high school filled with empathy, filled with diversity, racial diversity, sexual orientation diversity, political belief diversity. And we were all there. We were all able to express our ideas. It was an arts high school, so we were really able to express our ideas. And I believe that they're on their 14th year of not having a fight at this high school at all. Contrast that to the school I was at previously that a fight averaged once a week. And I really think that that's the difference. The difference is that you're bringing together these people at a high school age who accept one another and who are happy to be around these other people who are so very different than them. And I think what was missing this week was we talked a lot about, or this couple days, talked a lot about preventing bullying, but I didn't actually see the total preemptive version of that. I saw a lot of, well, if bullying's a problem, here's how to put out the fire. And that's important because that's the short term, and that's what's going to help the kids who are currently experiencing it. But what would be really interesting is to really just try to plant the right seeds so that we never get, the plants that could burn in the first place. And that's, if you start from the very, very beginning, if you start literally in preschool, in beginning education, in kindergarten, before they even get to grade school, and you teach them empathy, and then you continue to teach them empathy through elementary school, through middle school, when everyone's changing and going through their changes and stuff, then you'll just have this society filled with people who have no need to bully. I think what we're having trouble with is we're trying to fix this pyramid society. But the truth is, in order to survive this pyramid society, bullying is a pretty easy way to survive it. It's how you get to the top. So why not just restructure that? Try to not make it a pyramid in the first place. There's no reason it needs to be. The high school I went to was not structured that way. There were no popular kids. There were no nerds or whatever. And I think that there is academic validity to empathy, and that if you teach this in your curriculum, if you get it in the classrooms from the teachers, and you teach it down, that kids will consider it as valid as mathematics or English or anything like that. And whether or not it can be tested doesn't really matter to me. I don't think it should matter, because it's about making the world a better place, and I really think that building from the ground up instead of trying to fix the problems from the surface is a much more effective way of going about things. In terms of cyberbullying and how that relates to cyberbullying, I honestly consider the cyber world, at least when you're in school, just an extension of the school day. You're hanging out with the same people online that you're hanging out with on the schoolyard. It's the same exact society. It's just online. It's in your house. You could, on your bed or whatever. So if you fix one, you're fixing the other. If you have respect for one another and if you're not bullying each other in person, you're not going to be bullying these people online. And I think that if it's just a conducive environment and a friendly environment, it becomes a friendly environment online, and it just becomes a way to share jokes in your own home between one another. I know an issue was addressed about whether there should be spies online, principals online, teachers online. I know some schools require teachers to be online and other schools don't allow teachers to be online. I'll share my experience that I've been friends with several of my teachers since sophomore year, and these are the teachers like your teacher that you were explaining that everyone loved, and that's because they gave us respect and we gave them respect. And I think that actually being friends with these teachers online, one, if we ever had a problem, we were always able to contact them and at any time of the day, which I think is very useful. If you create teachers who have empathy for their kids and respect their kids and truly care about their well-being, then having access to these teachers is fairly important, especially through high school when you're going through very stressful periods of time. And two, it does kind of restrict what you put online. You're not going to put the really nasty stuff online, the really cruel or whatever, because I respect my teachers. I don't need them seeing that. So I just think that's it's something to explore, to just consider the cyber world another version of the school world, just an extension of it. Lastly, I just mentioned I had some really great teachers, but I also think we really need to focus on, and something I thought was pretty much lacking from this program was that teachers could be bullies too. And I noticed in the definition of bully that it was, at least to me, it seemed like it was specifying youths and youths. And I just don't think that's true. In my high school that had no bullying between kids, there was bullying between adults and kids. We had chemistry teachers calling their kids stupid. We had English teachers calling out racial slurs, sexual orientation slurs. And this is in a community where there were several openly gay teachers, and they were still calling out kids who were gay, teasing kids who were gay, calling kids stupid who got lower grades on their tests. That's straight up bullying. And if they had tenure, they were completely protected by the school system. They could not get fired. They could not get disciplined. In fact, what happened, and I was one of the students called stupid by my chemistry teacher. I went to the school to complain. No discipline was made for the teacher. He'd been a teacher there for 10 years, 11 years, something like that. I was kicked out of the classroom, and they said it was for my safety, and that's probably true. I was glad to no longer be in the classroom. But the way that looked to the rest of the school population is that I was being punished for being bullied. And I feel like in this society where we put so much trust into our teachers because they're really the only communication that the upper world has with their students, we really need to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen, can't happen, or is disciplined if it does happen. Teachers bring in their own biases, and if there are teachers like that in elementary school or in kindergarten, that's why we have many of these bullies in the first place. They're going to shape the kids' biases, and if teachers are giving the impression that this kind of behavior is okay, the kids are going to think this kind of behavior is okay, especially if they're not, if there's no checks and balances for them. I think that if the teachers just went through the same type of training that we want these kids to go through, that if these programs weren't just for the kids, but if they were for the teachers, if teachers were taught the same level of empathy that I hope the kids get, you're just able to kind of make a lot of these problems null before they even exist, which is, I think, the long-term and better plan to go about all of this. That way, we never have a problem to deal with, or the problems could be significantly reduced. So I think that's pretty much it. Thank you again, everybody. You guys are amazing.
Great. Thank you. Rebecca?